wouldn't be shocked to see the Shockers beat Arizona, but then they have to more than likely go play Miami, Florida. You said team under Jim Larrañaga that has folded at times, but if you look at their last a few years ago when they went to the Elite Eight, and they had a really good team that was Shane Larkin led and so forth. Well, you look at that game when they got bounced out. Half of that team had the flu. Now I remember that. I remember hearing that information a couple days before that game and fading Miami, Florida, and cashing out. I want to say it was Syracuse that beat them. So that team more than likely could have gone to the Final Four. So I think this team's got a lot of skill and a lot of determination. Angel Rodriguez is a very solid player, and I think this Miami, Florida team, I have them going to the Elite Eight, losing to Kansas. So I think that's going to be a great matchup if we see Wichita and Miami, Florida. But I think the Hurricanes are poised, especially after how you look at last year, even where they make that run to the NIT final, they lose, dropping in overtime. They're feeding off of that, and I think they're going to make a pretty deep run in this tournament.
A team that is in kind of a bad spot. Okay, so Dayton gets Syracuse. Dayton started off the season really well. They kind of had trouble down the stretch. Not a ton of trouble, but mid-major trouble.
Yes, sure.
Where they overexert themselves. Creighton had that when they're in the Valley. Mm-hmm. Wichita State's had that at times. But, that they kind of put so much energy into the non-conference that you hit a dead leg period. And then you kind of get it back around in March. Dayton, I like them against Syracuse. I don't think they necessarily beat Michigan State, but if I'm Michigan State, that's one of the last 7 or 10 seeds I would want. That's not a matchup where I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this is a lock. Like I don't think this is a lock for Michigan State.
No, I think it would be a tough battle for Michigan State, but I do think they will pull through with it. But as far as Dayton Syracuse goes, this game's a legit coin flip to me on paper. Both teams have really good players, great coaches, but Syracuse playing with not only an edge because people have said they shouldn't be in this tournament, but a little bit of an edge because they're playing against a team that bounced them out 2 years ago, which was a much better Dayton team. It's a Dayton team that's a better three-point shooting team than this current form of the Flyers, which is the way to beat Syracuse. The way to beat that patented zone is to shoot threes all day. Dayton, not as good of a three-point shooting team this time around, and I think Syracuse could find a way to squeak this out, maybe be a close one. I have Dayton in my bracket going to the second round, but it's a true swing game for me. I wouldn't be shocked if the Orangemen pull that one out.
I feel there's always, every year, there's a 1 seed that nobody thinks should be a 1 seed. Mm-hmm. Or there's a 2 seed, and then there's the 2 seed that but they hear all the time that, oh, well, they should be a 1 seed. And one of those 2 teams crumbles in the second round, where it'll be like the 2 seed will think they'll buy into, they'll start crying basically, and then focus so much on crying that they end up losing a game. Or the 1 seed, it gets into their head like, okay, maybe we aren't as good. We shouldn't be a 1 seed, and they don't go out and prove it. Oregon, I think, is that team that they're going to prove it. They are good. I don't think they're going to win the national title. I actually have them losing to Oklahoma in the Elite Eight. But I don't think I'm not completely opposed to them being a 1 seed. I'm opposed to Virginia being a 1 seed, but not Oregon.
I'm not opposed to. This is the one time, really, if you looking back, I really have never been adamant about saying, oh, this team didn't deserve to be a 1 seed. Most 1 seeds pretty much deserve to be there. I have no qualms with either one of these 4 teams being a 1 seed. We could make the claim for Michigan State, could make a claim for Villanova, but definitely couldn't make a claim for Xavier or really even Oklahoma, personally as the number 1 seed. But no, Virginia, I think, is a really good team. And Virginia has definitely played, like I said, much better basketball this year than the previous year. They're a much more balanced team, and I think they do deserve to be a number 1 seed in that Midwest region.
I would have just taken, I thought Michigan State. I would have taken them, in my opinion, to be a number one
Yeah,
seed.
I mean, yeah, it's a toss up in there. I would have been fine either way with Michigan State 1, Virginia 2. I'd have been fine with that.
I think the only, like in my opinion, the only clear cut team that really proved themselves to be a legit team was Kansas this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's why they're the number one overall. I mean, I agree with that.
And going into this, like, I think it was probably in mid-February when there was talk like, oh, if there's a year for a 16 to knock off a 1, it's this year. That's not going to happen.
No,
I'm sorry. That's not going to happen this year. If Florida Gulf Coast maybe was playing somebody else other than Carolina or Kansas, I would say, okay, maybe. And even at that, I would really scoff at that idea. The 16 seeds are really bad this year, and even the two seeds. I've heard some talk of Cal State possibly upsetting Oklahoma. I don't see that happening. There's no 15 seed that I would. Maybe Weber State over Xavier, but that again, very long shot.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm familiar with both of these two 15 seeds because these are two conferences out west that I do follow and wager on. Well, at least far as the Big Sky with Weber State, but even Cal Bakersfield, I've watched and follow some of those teams and made a few wagers on them during their conference tournaments because the WAC games aren't really posted on the board in most books. But Cal State Bakersfield, their strength is defense. They are as old school as it comes. I don't think there's a slower team in the tournament than the ironically named Roadrunners of Cal State Bakersfield. They love to play slow, low tempo, high pressure defensive basketball. And Oklahoma is a good defensive team, great balanced offense, good perimeter offense. So I don't think Oklahoma have any trouble with them as far as the full game goes, but it will be an interesting game to watch. It'll be interesting to see just how dominant Oklahoma's offense is because they're playing a good defense. As for Weber State, Big Sky goes way under the radar. There's a lot of teams that don't have a lot of deep benches, but they play up tempo basketball. But they're good and they're solid defensively too. And there are a lot of good athletes. I mean, the Big Sky. Once again, we talk about teams that play in high altitude, crazy road trips. These guys are conditioned to play in. They're playing in better environments now than they were during their conference run during their regular season. So going up against a good Xavier team, Weber State's they're not gonna shock anybody, but they aren't a slouch. Those are two good teams. Those are two teams. If they were 16 seeds, I would say could maybe possibly give a couple of clubs a run. I think Cal State Bakersfield, if they were to draw North Carolina in a 1-16 spot, I would at least be taking the big points with the Roadrunners.
I went and covered the Summit League tournament and for No Coast Bias, and when I was watching, I was kind of watching bracketology, and I know it's not even a science, it's just stupid. Yeah. But I saw Fort Wayne, who was the number one seed in the
Mastodons.
In the Summit, they were picked to be like a 15 seed. And when they didn't win and South Dakota State won, I was thinking, okay, well, South Dakota State will probably be a 15 seed then. And I would have given them a legit shot against against Xavier. But with them facing, who do they got in the first round? They have
Maryland. They're Maryland.
I don't like that matchup. South Dakota State gets off to, in the conference tournament, they got off to bad starts. And Maryland, although they're not, they're not as good as they were early on in the season, this is not a team you want to get down to. I like Mike Dahm, the stud freshman from South Dakota State, but just not a 12-5 matchup I like. I don't think I picked a single 12-5 upset, and I know you're supposed to, but I didn't see one that I really liked. I know Baylor and Yale, Purdue and Arkansas, Little Rock, but I'm not 100% sold on either one of those. I know you like Little Rock, but
yeah, and Yale. And Yale was another one I picked as well. And it's interesting because with Chattanooga and Indiana, that's the other 12 seed we haven't mentioned, UT Chattanooga was actually a really good team earlier this year, but they've lost a couple of key pieces and have kind of slowed down a little bit. But they did well in that SoCon, the Southern Conference. That's a team that if they were fully healthy, I'd say around, if December's roster had been coming into this game right now, they give the Hoosiers a nice little run for their money, but the Hoosiers are just a little too tough for them. South Dakota State, now the interesting thing is I don't see them winning this game at all, but this number keeps moving up. Maryland was an 8-point favorite. It's moved now. I see some 9.5s and 10s floating around. This game gets up to 10.5, or even 11. I might have to go and take the points here with South Dakota State. I think Maryland said this is not their best form right now currently, and I don't see. I easily see the Terrapins maybe kind of taking a little bit for granted. The Jackrabbits could cover the spot.
Mm-hmm. One quick thing before we go to break. Mm-hmm. One thing that just angers the hell out of me is when you're watching and ESPN, whoever it is, and they're like, okay, who should we put on upset alert? And it's like, oh, I'm going to put USC on upset alert in this bracket with Providence. It's an 8-9 game. That's the biggest cop-out of an upset. Like, I get that technically it is an upset, but I think there has to be, like, a 10/7 is a little bit of an upset, but I don't want a 9/8 when you're calling for an upset. That's like calling an upset for 14 versus the 13th best team in the country in a college football game. It's like, oh, they're on upset alert. Technically, yes, but that's lame, and you should be fired for that.
Well, I don't know. We might have to save this one for break because the talk of upset alert has angered me for a long time, and it's not because of the seeding. If you look at the spreads and the seeding, all 4 9 seeds are favored over the 8 seeds.
Yeah.
So what has always angered me about it, and it's in college football is even worse, is that when they say, oh, someone on upset alert, well, in order for it to be an upset, it has to be the underdog beating the favorite. So you can't tell me that, looking at the line for Wichita State, Arizona, Wichita State, oh, giant upset. Actually, it's not because Arizona State's a 1.5-point favorite. That's basically pick 'em. That means it's about 3% away from being a coin flip. Therefore, it is not even close to an upset, let alone a giant upset. It's just an upset because we know where Arizona is, and a whole lot of people, couldn't tell you what the nickname of Wichita State team is. So that's what always has bugged me about that that phrase "upset alert." I've always never paid attention to it in college basketball, and even now I pay less attention to it in college football because people who use that term improperly just sound really, really stupid, and it's just it angers me as well.
I'm glad that both of us that gets our blood boiling.
Yeah.
That one absolutely pisses me off. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to go ahead and take a little break, and we'll come back. We'll talk lines for the first round, lines to expect in the second round. Potentially, Actually, that's not even worth it, but we'll do lines for the first round.
We'll break down. We'll give up our Final Fours as well, and national championship stuff as well too. So.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be right back here on the box seats with Alex B. Smith and Bob Sullivan here on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Mean something you to slowly far away. I know. Can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. Can't walk away from the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. Nah, nah, nah. Can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. Can't walk away from the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. Can't walk away.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
I have no space, no room to move around, and this box is getting smaller. I'm trying to get out. How did I get?
Welcome back to the box seats here on LateNightSportsRadio.com with Alex B. Smith and Bob Sullivan. Alex, in the first round, we got. Actually, I don't have the point spreads for the is it Oregon and the North Carolina games. I do not have those readily available. However,
there's no line for Holy Cross in Oregon, as Holy Cross just won that game tonight. And for North Carolina, I think, is there a lineup for that yet?
I don't have.
I haven't seen that line either, and I hadn't really paid attention, to be honest, because it wasn't a game. Florida Gulf Coast is a 22-point underdog against North Carolina tomorrow night.
Of those 116 matchups, who do you think can cover? The Virginia's favored by 23.5. Kansas favored by I have 24.5 here. Do you see any of these 16 teams? Who would you like in particular to cover their spread?
No, if you gave me a 4-team, 12-point teaser with all four 16-seed underdogs, I still would not take it. I think all four of these games are going to be absolute blowouts. The one play I do have, and I guess I can give it out now. It's not my best bet, of the show, but it is a play that I'm on personally. It's Kansas and Austin Peay over 152. I think this is going to be an absolute blowout. I think Kansas is going to score points at will. Austin Peay is not going to be a layover. They'll get 50 points. Might even get 60 points. They shoot well. But there's no way I see Kansas not breaking the century mark unless they decide to give up with about 10 minutes left in this game. It's just a huge mismatch, and I like that game going way over 152 for sure. So, but as far as spread numbers go, no, these are going to be blowouts. I'm not laying 26 points because I don't have to. I'm not going to lay any of these giant numbers. Unless you're in a pool or where you fill out brackets and you have to lay the. I've been in a pool once before where you had to play every game against the spread, so I would do that. But no, these are games not worth betting unless you find certain edges. I think, like I said, that Austin Peay Kansas total, I think, is going to go way over 152.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything in particular that you saw right off the bat that got your juices flowing?
No, not really. To be honest, this has been my approach with college basketball had been kind of non-existent in the beginning of the year, but I've been very selective going into to conference play and now tournament time. So there's only a few games I've played right now, and I'm waiting for some movement for a couple of other games. I really don't think I'll add anything else tomorrow. Like I said, I have 2 plays tomorrow. The Kansas Austin P total, and I've got another play that you can get now, online. And then I have 1 play on Friday rather. That's a total. I'll give that out later as my best bet. But that's it. I'm on 3 games right now. I've had more plays in the last 2 days with the CBI and the NIT tournaments.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I'll be playing the rest of the way. Those are the smaller schools I've been following. Those are better lines. You don't have the mass public hysteria. There's people flocking to Vegas right now that are, betting their alma maters, and, you got, people who never watched college basketball games on this time of year, betting on teams because of their mascots, and, they've got so-and-so in an office pool. So, all of that insanity actually does move the line if you got enough, I'm not going to, I won't call them idiots, but they're uninformed. You get 50 uninformed people who want to bet a side. They can move a number if that much money is on it. So, and these numbers are tight. These bookmakers do a great job with these lines for these teams in the big dance. So the smaller teams, smaller tournaments, that's where you find the good value. So I'm not going to be betting a whole lot through this NCAA tournament. I'll have a few plays here and there, and as it goes on, I'll be betting a lot more in-game and second half wagers. But as far as some like to call it the pre-flop, bets before the game, it's not a whole lot of things that really stuck out in there.
You gave out a lot of advice there, but what would your best advice be as far as would you say, would it be bet second halves, bet if you're going to bet strictly NCAA tournament, which I'm assuming a lot of people are.
Sure.
Bet money line, use point spreads. What would your best advice be for people that are betting? Put the bet right before the game. What's your 3 best pieces of advice for people betting?
There's a lot of things to
Betting
try and
Thursday.
remember.
Betting
Thursday and Friday. It's tough. It's tough because this is people who like to drink call New Year's Eve amateur hour, and as a professional bettor, I like to call this amateur hour for the most part because it just is. I mean, it's the same thing with Super Bowl. You can find edges in the Super Bowl. You can find edges in any event, but if you've ever been around, let's not even say a Vegas sportsbook. If you've ever, if you have a local bookie, talk to them one day in the summer when it's slow and ask them about the people that call in and bet during March Madness, because every one of them will have some funny stories for you about the people who you get guys who sign up and find new clients that start around this time of year as far as the underside of the betting world goes. But as far as advice, please don't bet every game. I think that's advice we need to follow for all. Pick some games and select them. If you're gonna bet in game and second halves, there's a lot of people I know traveling out to Vegas. If you're listening to this, traveling out to Vegas, get a phone app. That's the biggest thing. You're gonna be waiting in some tremendously long line. You'll be waiting in lines that look longer than a nightclub bathroom line to bet some of these games if you're gonna wait 2 hours before. Yeah. So get a phone app. CG Technologies, the Westgate Superbook, William Hill, and their books are everywhere. Station Casinos, even the South Point, which is a little bit far off of the Strip in Vegas. All these places offer fantastic phone apps. You can put money in your account while you're at the hotel. Your app will work anywhere within the state limits of Nevada. So you could be, at the South Point and then go all the way, out to, drive out wherever, go off the Strip and have dinner or shop or whatever, and you have betting capability on your phone. I think a couple of the phone apps, I'm not sure, they might have some bonuses for this week. When you put in money, they might give you a little, a percentage bonus added to your account. But that's the biggest number one advice I can give you for those of you in going to Las Vegas for this weekend or even next weekend. Invest in the phone app. Take your money, start an account, get a phone app. You will appreciate that. Otherwise, you'll be waiting in line and you might miss a number move or miss a game altogether at tip-off. For those of us in the rest of the world, and still, applies to the Nevada residents, though, within games, if you're with the second half and in-game wagering, watch the game. This is not the time. And I say this even for, it doesn't matter what level of a gambler you are. I'll bet a lot of second halves in college football in a game that I'm not visibly watching, because I know what my numbers are reflecting, and I say, okay, this is what's happened in the game so far. I don't think this is going to happen the rest of the way, and so I'm going off of slim statistical knowledge, but just team knowledge. The fact that most of us haven't watched all of these teams throughout the entire year, and a lot of people that don't really even bet second halves or get confused with in-game wagering, like I said, take your time to do that right. Ask someone for help if you're in a book, or if you have a friend that knows how to wager. If you're confused, if you don't normally bet second halves or live wagers and you like to start doing it now, and that happens, that's fine, because you can find edges for it. But don't. It is a different animal than betting beginning of the game, and you have to be paying attention. Like I said, tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. The books in Vegas are going to make a lot of money off of a lot of drunk people betting second halves. And that's unfortunate. Don't give your money away. Bet smart and really pay attention when you're going to bet those in-game and second half lines.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand that it's not good to. Well, I mean, especially if there's a good story going in the first half of UNC Asheville versus Villanova, don't get caught up in that first half hype and just lay down some money on they're gonna, obviously Vegas, if they see something going on, they're gonna skew the odds for people wanting to see something. Like if there's a 16 in a game with a 1, don't get caught up in it,
right?
In the emotion, because Vegas is going to skew the odds to.
Of course.
I mean, they do it every year with the Cubs, where, they're putting the Cubs at 92.5 win total or something this year.
That's even higher than that, yeah.
Because of what they did last year, and everybody's like, "Oh, the Cubs, yes, they're going to do it." And there's so many stupid Cub fans that they're going, whether the Cubs do it or not, that they're going to make money off of it. They skew the odds because the Cubs, even if the Cubs win at 96 or something and go under, there's going to be so many fans that put a bet on the over because of being so excited that they're going to make money. Vegas is not going to. Vegas is going to skew the odds for these lower seeds to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If there's one weekend where Vegas is not giving away money, it's this weekend for sure.
Yeah.
And sidebar with the Cubs thing, the odds are skewed more for them to win the World Series because of that whole history and the drought, where they'll shade the odds because they know there's someone who's going to Vegas every year to bet on the Cubs winning the World Series every single year. So that's where you see the odds kind of skewed a little more than, say, their win total. And as a Sox fan, I hate to say that they have a good team this year, but they do. And their win total, I want to say last saw it around 97.5 wins. Might not be that unrealistic for them to reach that plateau. But yeah, but as you say, the New York Knicks are another team. The Blackhawks now in Stanley Cup, and obviously whoever wins that year in the NBA Finals, that next year over, they're going to be those numbers are going to be skewed, and even when you look at the future odds for this, I didn't look at any future odds. I talked with some people yesterday about futures to win each regional and tournament overall, but I'm not a big futures player when it comes to a tournament like this. So many variables, so many different things can happen. I'd rather just take the information I have in front of me game by game and go along with that, rather than try to make one big wager on something that I think could happen, but with 3 weeks worth of change in front of me, it's not worth it.
Have you ever done? Yeah, this is something I would like to do at some point, where you get a bracket and the first round is all. I mean, you bet every game in every round, and you have to put a certain $1 per game in the first round, $2 per game in the second round. But at the end, I mean, the whole pot goes to 3, 2, and 1. But every round you're betting with the point spreads.
Mm.
Have you ever done anything like that? Would you ever consider doing something like that? And is there something like that?
Wait, so you're saying as far as repeat that?
So we right now we have all the odds available to us on Bovada or whatever.
Yes.
For the first 2 days for the first round.
Right.
So you lay down $1 per game, so $32.
Mhm.
And so you bet every single game. Like it's a bracket pool where you're betting every game, but you bet every game with the point spreads, and then you continue. So what? Like it's a new
Right,
round.
like it's like a round by round pool. I've been in something similar to that. I've mentioned it in the last segment. I was in a pool where you had to we went round by round, and there was one buy-in. I get what you're saying. Was there a buy-in for each round? No, there wasn't, and that should have been the case. But we did I was in a pool. I think I've actually mentioned this the last 2 weeks about how much money have I. That was last week we talked about how much money would we spend in each year and being in different pools and so forth. And one year I was in a pool that was worth $100, and this was it. $100 pool buy-in, and you could only have 16 guys in this pool, so it was very limited. I want to say it was first and second place, or when it took all kind of deal. You had your bracket. You did the first round based on the spreads. You turned it in. You got your bracket back graded, and then you filled it back in. You turned it back in. Turned it back in. And I didn't win this thing at all. This was years ago. This was in high school, but yeah, and I think that's a fun way to do that. And if you have a close group of friends, I think it's a great way to run a pool, because certain pools, office pools where you're just picking the winner. I mean, anybody could win it. You don't have to know, people who know basketball usually never win these things. I had a friend who she literally picked teams based on nicknames and uniform colors and won $250 in office pool. It was heartbreaking because she hardly knows anything about basketball at all in the little sense. She understands that the ball is orange and it's a court and there's 5 people on 5 people, and that was about it. And she won this pool. So to have something a little more diverse, a little more intricate, like having a spread pool or something like that, I think that would be a fun thing. I wouldn't do that as far as wagering $1 in every game in real, I wouldn't say in real life. I would do that in a pool setting. I wouldn't do that as far as with an account with a book or at a sports book.
Yeah, I don't like. I hate the NCAA tournament in the fact that Roxanne from down the hall can win it, and she's 72 years old, has 3 grandkids, and basically has the same. When a woman can tell the same story about how she won the NCAA tournament as she can on a Life Alert commercial, it means it's such a flawed system. Like, it's like, I have 3 grandkids and I use Life Alert. And they say, I have 3 grandchildren and I won my NCAA tournament pool and I didn't watch a single game, but I use Life Alert. When they do that, I mean, the same thing happens with fantasy football. I just don't like it. Like, it just proves that there's no skill. It's 100% luck.
Right. Yeah, you're right. No, I agree. And that's the thing. It is. I mean, you look at the true odds of hitting a perfect bracket. Just the combination. Let's not even get to the true odds of getting perfect. The combinations that you can make of teams advancing. Okay, it's like 9.2 quintillion.
Yeah.
So, like we're talking like it's beyond astronomical. This is not even. We're talking literally unbettable numbers. And
you have a better chance of winning the Powerball twice.
You have a better chance of swimming to the bottom of the ocean, coming back up, and actually literally taking off flying than you do of getting a perfect bracket.
Friend of the Bob Sullivan Show, Mike Dyer, who I've had on several times, every year he fills out a women's bracket, but just picks all the all the favorites to advance. And he's like, one of these years, I'm going to get it right. Because like there's no parity whatsoever in women's college basketball. Like you can pretty much pick it, one over everything, and you'll be right. So, I mean, he said he came close one year, but yeah, in men's college basketball, there's not a ton of parity, but there's enough to make it where it's almost impossible. It's definitely impossible to get that perfect bracket.
Sure.
Has anybody done it?
No one has ever done it, and I know I think Warren Buffett still has his $1 billion bracket thing going with Quicken Loans, but I heard the other day that within I don't know if it's I guess Berkshire Hathaway, or I'm not sure which group he's still with now, but
Yeah,
he's offered within his group, his firm, I think it's $1 million or it's $10 million for whoever gets the top bracket this year. But he will offer $1 million for the rest of their lives if they hit the perfect bracket within his company's office pool. I mean, that's hell. I mean, I'd love to get a shot at that. It's not you still aren't getting the true payout value of a perfect bracket, as we said. You don't in the world if you had the true payout value of hitting a perfect bracket, because the payout compared to the odds, you'll never get true odds. You just simply won't. So, but it's a fun thing. It's fun to have these things we talk about and little props and so forth. And hey, if you do well, you can join all these different things. Maybe win a car, maybe win a gift card. There's, if you're good at and do well at playing, and picking winners in these bracket style tournaments, by all means, fill out as many as possible if you're good at it, and you can win prizes. But it's not something the more I bet single games, the less I just filled out my bracket last night, and that's because I had to, as far as discussing games.
Yeah.
Last year I waited right until morning to fill out my bracket, Thursday morning. So it's not something that I used to do as big as I was before, because I'm focused more on single games and overall numbers rather than trying to figure out the puzzle that is who will win this tournament.
Word of advice to people: whenever there's a car involved, don't take it as a prize.
Yeah.
Not worth paying the tax on that. Take the money, or sell the truck, or whatever it is. Like, that's before we get into like best bets and whatnot.
Yeah.
Stuff that's actually important here. My advice is the idiots on Wheel of Fortune and whatnot, when they go nuts about winning when
they have the they get the car,
like on Wheel of Fortune, when they win a car and they go crazy, I'd be going crazy for the exact wrong reason. I'd be like, "Are you kidding me? I have to pay $10,000 in taxes on that thing."
Well, no, I thought don't they have an option? At least I think Price is Right. You have an option to sell it back to the show.
Oh, well, if that was, I'm sure they do, but if that was the case, if you didn't have an option to sell it back, then I'd be furious, because
I wouldn't. I'd just buy the thing and sell it right back in state. Pay the taxes, but hell, even if you sold the car 50%, you pay the taxes. You pay the taxes right off of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And that's so it's not really. No, I mean there's loopholes around all of that. So yeah, you ever win a car, you're better off selling it back to whoever you want it from, and taking a cash settlement, a lump sum of some sort. Yeah, don't go buy a car. Don't ever win a car. I agree with you on that.
Okay, well, on to best bets.
Yeah.
Good bet for, I guess, for the first round of the NCAA tournament. Good bet. Or I guess good bet overall, because you're betting CBI and NIT as well.
Yeah, well, and there's no lines for any of the games coming up within those next rounds. Actually, I'll wait for next week, because there's a tournament called the Vegas 16 that's happening in a few weeks, and those lines are already up at two books, and there's a couple of games that are glaring out at me, but we'll save those for next week when it gets closer to it.
I think it's the Vegas 8 now.
It is a Vegas 8, but they're still keeping the 16. I guess they spent all the money on the website stuff. They're not going to go buy Vegas8. I should have checked if Vegas8.com was available when they said all those teams weren't going to go to this tournament. That would have been funny, but and possibly lucrative. But I have two best bets. One's going to be a game, and one's going to be I'm going to reiterate a piece of advice. So the game that's my best bet is Cal State Bakersfield, Oklahoma, under 140. I actually played this at 138.5. I like it there, so I definitely love it with an extra 2 points attached to it. Oklahoma is going to play well. They're going to score points. They're not going to score in bunches against Bakersfield. Bakersfield has the talent to run, but they'd rather not. They want to slow things down. Low and slow. They're basically like gumbo. However, Oklahoma is playing this game virtually at home. Chesapeake Energy Arena, home of the Thunder. It's going to be a sea of maroon pretty much everywhere. So they want to play well, and they will play well, and they have a decent enough defense to stop Bakersfield's mediocre offense. 140 is a little high. I see Oklahoma maybe giving 70 points tops. Bakersfield's not going to get anywhere above 40 or 50. And if Bakersfield plays well defensively, this game might stay even as low as possibly within 100, 110 points. So Bakersfield and Oklahoma, that's a Friday afternoon game that starts at 4 o'clock Eastern. So that would be 1 o'clock Pacific. Play the under 140 in that game. The piece of advice, as I said, if you are going to the state of Nevada, do your research. Pretty much all the books now have them. Get a phone app. Go to the hotel that's closest to you for whatever, like I said, research. William Hill, Westgate. If anybody who follows me on Twitter at AX Smith Sports, I will be tweeting out all of the different places where you can get phone apps. Invest in a phone app. Go and get there when you get into town. Put your money in an account. Download the app on your phone. They work for every Apple and Android phone. If you have a BlackBerry like me, you might have to do some fine-tuning and whatnot. But download the app, and you will avoid the ridiculously long lines and most of the books that will happen on Thursday and Friday. You'll be in perfect spots for in-game wagering and second-half lines. As soon as they pop up, you don't have to worry about running to a line or being close to a hotel. You can go to a nice bar. There's some great bars that'll be having some great food and drink specials for the games. You can be in a bar and still make some money sitting comfortably at the bar rather than worry about lines. So that's my best bet advice for this week and next week too, with the Sweet 16 as well.
I don't really have a best. Well, I guess my best bet would be to have is to have Wichita State going deep into the tournament. Sweet 16, Elite 8 range. I don't really see any lines here that I like. I mean, I'd say Stony Brook to cover 13.5 against Kentucky.
Yeah, they're not a bad team. Stony Brook, pretty good record, and Kentucky, we've seen them struggle with a lot of young guys. So it's one of those on the fence. I think the number is perfect, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Stony Brook cover that.
Were you the one talking to me about West Virginia, Stephen F. Austin?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, Stephen F. Austin, a good team in the Southland. They've made some upsets before, but against this hard pressing defense, that's going to be a tough battle.
Yeah, I agree. I was because somebody was saying how Stephen F. Austin somehow pulled this off, that the road for them wouldn't be necessarily easy, but it would be a road that where they could go Sweet 16 at least, and then even at that would have a favorable matchup against a Xavier or Wisconsin team. So look out for that, I guess. Do you have any more good bets to advise people on, or you?
I mean, we can give out our Final Fours and national championship picks now. I mean, that's pretty much, like I said, because we'll get deeper into, at least I will. I'll get deeper into single game wagering over the next couple of weeks, compared to as the tournament winds down, more so than now. So the best bets are my only best bet, pretty much.
Okay, so my Final Four right now, I have Kansas beating Oklahoma and Michigan State beating North Carolina, Michigan State beating Kansas in the national title game by a score 68-59. What's your Final Four?
I have Kansas beating Oklahoma as well, and I have Michigan State beating Notre Dame.
Ooh, whoa. Notre Dame, really?
I think Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame will handle Michigan. They played well against West Virginia, who I think they can beat West Virginia. Like you said, favorable bracket for West Virginia. The same thing for Notre Dame. I don't see if Notre Dame gets through this weekend. I don't see them struggling against Wisconsin, Pitt, or Xavier. I think they could really make it as deep into the Elite Eight, if not into the Final Four. So Notre Dame, I know they're a team that kind of lives and dies by the three, but they are pretty balanced offensively, and they have moments of clarity on defense where they could make a run and win 2-3 games in this tournament. So I do have them in the Final Four, but they lose. I have them losing to Michigan State. And in my national championship, I have Kansas beating Michigan State 74-68.
This whole tournament has me missing the old Big East in basketball. I mean, Notre Dame, West Virginia in the second round. Pitt being in here. There's just so many good teams. Just like the Big East tournament was fine this year for what it was, but that Big East tournament with those, like that a team with a double bye always getting upset by a team that had to play the first day.
Mm-hmm.
The Big East tournament just used to be so much fun. 5 days of just excitement every night, and UConn versus Syracuse versus Georgetown. I mean, even when they added like Louisville and Marquette and whatnot, those teams worked, and it was just awesome. And this tournament just makes me miss it that much more.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it's funny. One of my best friends, he's a very sharp college basketball mind and a good bettor as well. He messaged me on Facebook about his Final Four, mm-hmm. and he does a bracket that's for fun, and he has a serious bracket. He's a big Syracuse guy, so he has Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Villanova, and Northern Iowa as his for fun Final Four. He's a old Big East guy too, and he says it would just be nice to see possibly a majority. He says he thinks Northern Iowa, has a pretty good chance of upsets, and they are a good 11 seed that we've seen them get hot at times. But he was joking around talking about basically saying that with that bracket he misses the old Big East as well. So
I did before I had to correct it. I wasn't thinking. Now I have 4 Big 12 teams in the Elite Eight, and so I just went through kind of blindly did everything, and I wound up with 4 Big 12 teams in the Final Four. I was like, okay, that's not going to happen, so I got to correct this. And went back on my West Virginia UNC pick and my Michigan State Iowa State pick. So I'm going to be wrong on a majority of this crap. But I just as soon as I saw that, I was like, no. There's no way that's going to happen, so I'm going to have to go further. And if that does happen, I'm gonna freak because that's terrible if that happens. But Alex, before we get out of here, did anybody? So you did a guess the 3 schools you applied, or 2 schools that you applied to, the school you went to. And did anybody win that?
I did, just a little bit of a backstory to this. So I like to do a lot of giveaways for picks on my Twitter handle at AXSmithSports. And so I was giving away free picks for the rest of the year in all sports. If you can guess, it was the 3 schools that I set my ACT scores to. I didn't put in the school I actually went to because I don't think anyone would guess that. And it wasn't any of the 3 schools that were on the ACT, but 2 people actually guessed it. And one person on Twitter had it and guessed, and he follows me on Twitter, but I didn't follow him, and his tweets are protected. So he actually sends me an email with the timestamp, and he got it at the same time that another Twitter follower got it in. So 2 guys won the prize. The 3 schools that I set my ACT scores to were Northern Illinois University, Arizona State University, and the University of Florida. And I know those all 3 seem pretty random, but there's backstories behind all of them. Northern Illinois, local school that I had family go to. And the other 2 schools, big party schools that had pretty easy, pretty lenient entry qualification. So,
so 402 Sports Bets. I know one of their people.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned that to me as well.
Yeah, and so he texted me and was like, "Hey, where did Alex?" So he was trying to do some insider trading.
Sure, right.
And
okay.
I was like, well, I assume he applied at Northern Illinois because because that's where that's all he talks about when it comes to
yeah.
And 2, I said a Florida school or an Arizona school. I would guess Arizona State. And he's like, why would you say that? I was like, well, because I assume he would want to party in college.
Yeah.
And so I think they put in they played those guesses, but I couldn't they're like, why would you guess Arizona? I was like, well, I would guess an Arizona or a Florida school because I assume he was just kind of doing it for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And-
Yeah, that's good. Very good guesses.
So yeah, I get. So if when those guesses came in, those were from me.
Nice.
try-
Okay. All right.
But yeah. Well, Alex, before we get out of here, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internets, and you're doing a show on Tuesdays now, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So last night I actually did 2 shows last night. It's been kind of crazy. I did a podcast with the guys over at WagerTalk.com. Some cool veterans of the handicapping world: Scott Spreitzer, Marco D'Angelo, a couple of guys from CG Technologies. That was a lot of fun. They know way more about basketball than I do, so it was more informative for me than I was informing others. But it was a lot of fun. And did a show with Ken Thompson of SportsX Radio. That's a spot that I'll be doing throughout the different weeks on Tuesdays, and then it'll change back to I think Wednesdays or Thursdays. So that's why this show has been kind of flip flopped as well. So kind of doing a juggling rotation of radio and podcast work. So it's been incredibly busy. But find me on Twitter at axsmithsports.com. I won't be tweeting a lot tomorrow. There'll be games. I have a parade that I'm actually in this year, so it won't just be it'll be more of a work party capacity, but I'll be watching games as well. But throughout the rest of the week, I'll be watching games and tweeting about them as well. And you can get the picks online, sportsmemo.com. My basketball stuff at my personal site, axsmithsports.com. I will have hockey up tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week as well. KellyandVegas.com, VegasInsider.com, and ParkLawSports.com. You can find all the hockey stuff there as well. So, yeah, just trying to, catch my breath for a little bit before, like I said, the storm continues. So, Bob, are you doing a show tomorrow and for the weekend? Or?
Yes, we have Johnny Bobo show tomorrow night. Not quite sure if what is going to be going on tomorrow night, but and don't completely know if I'll be coherent tomorrow night.
Yeah.
But
I understand.
yeah, well, plus I got baseball. So,
Wow.
and then Sunday night I have Sean Stewart coming on.
Good guy. Good guy. Know him.
Yeah, he's from I think Sports for Fans or something.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Sports for Radio or something like that.
Yep.
Horrible job by me introducing him there. He will be on, and then a guest to be named later on Sunday. So no more previewing my high school baseball team's season. Nothing like that this weekend, but just good solid. It's a good show. All right. Well, on that note, we will get out of here on the box seats with Alex B. Smith and Bob Sullivan here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. We will see you again next Wednesday to talk Sweet 16 and Elite 8 action.
Everyone drink and drive. Don't drink and drive, but drink safe. Don't drive for tomorrow. That was almost a bad pull on that one. But don't drive tomorrow. Just drink safely, all right? Happy St. Pat's Day.